My father never told anyone his son had a stutter. Not his coworkers, not his friends, not the relatives who came for Thanksgiving every year and wondered why the quiet kid in the corner never spoke. He didn't hide it out of protection. He hid it out of embarrassment. My name is Ryan Calloway. I'm 19 years old, and this is the story of how my father sent me away at 17 because I couldn't speak without breaking. How a retired Army sergeant with zero patience and zero tolerance became the only person who ever sat with me long enough to hear what I was actually trying to say, and how the man who was ashamed of my voice called me 8 months later asking me to come home, right after I'd won the one thing he never believed I could. I need to start in September 2023. Sacramento, California, junior year of high school. My stutter started when I was 6. Nobody knows exactly why. Neurological, the doctor said. Not anxiety-based, not trauma-based, just the way my brain was wired. My speech pathologist in 3rd grade called it developmental stuttering that didn't resolve. Most kids grow out of it. I didn't. By 17, I'd developed every workaround a stutterer learns over a decade. I avoided words that started with hard consonants, substituted easier words mid-sentence, stayed quiet in class even when I knew the answer, ordered food based on what I could say, not what I wanted. I could speak, just not smoothly, not without the blocks, the frozen moments where my mouth opened and nothing came out, where my jaw locked and my eyes squeezed shut, and the words sat trapped somewhere between my brain and my lips, while everyone waited. My dad, Gary Calloway, was 44, sales director at a tech firm in Folsom, made $140,000 a year. Confident, loud, the kind of man who worked every room he walked into. His whole career was built on speaking, presentations, client calls, closing deals over dinner. He had a son who couldn't order a burger without blocking on the B. He never said he was ashamed. He didn't need to. It was in the way he answered for me at restaurants before I could try, the way he steered conversations away from me at family gatherings, the way he'd say, "Ryan's more of a listener," when relatives asked why I was quiet. As if silence was a personality trait I'd chosen. My mom had left when I was 11, moved to Portland. We talked every few weeks. She knew about the stutter, never made it weird. But I lived with Dad. September 2023, he sat me down at the kitchen table. His girlfriend, Stacy, was somewhere in the house. She'd moved in 3 months earlier. 36, no kids, uncomfortable around me in a way she never said directly but showed in every interaction. "I found a school," Dad said. He slid a brochure across the table. "Westbrook Academy, boarding school in Monterey, strong academics, good programs." I looked at the brochure. "I don't want to go to boarding school." "It'll be good for you. Fresh start, new environment. My friends are here. My school is here." "Ryan." He said my name the way he always did when he'd already decided something. "This is the right move. I've already enrolled you. You start October 1st. I stared at him. "Does this have anything to do with Stacy?" He didn't answer immediately. That was answer enough. "Stacy has nothing to do with this," he said finally. I didn't argue. I'd learned not to argue with him. Arguments required speaking. Westbrook Academy was 2 hours south of Sacramento on Highway 1, 17 miles outside Monterey. 94 students total. Old brick buildings, ocean fog every morning, small classes. I arrived October 1st with 2 suitcases and zero interest in being there. The first week was exactly what I expected. New people, new classrooms, the same old calculations. How much can I say before someone notices? How do I answer without blocking? How do I disappear into the back of every room? Then I met Dennis Hale. He was the school's communication instructor. 61 years old. Retired Army, 22 years, retired as Master Sergeant. Built like someone who'd never stopped doing push-ups. gray hair cut close. He spoke in short declarative sentences and had no visible tolerance for excuses. He taught a required junior year course called Professional Communication. First day, he went around the room and asked every student to introduce themselves and state one goal for the year. When he got to me, I said my name, Arj Ryan C. Calloway, and blocked completely on goal. Jaw locked. 3 seconds of silence. 5. The word would not come. Nobody laughed, but I felt every person in that room recalibrate their understanding of me. Take your time, Hale said. Not kindly, not impatiently, just factually. My goal is to get through this year, I finally said. He nodded, moved on. After class, he stopped me at the door. Calloway, you stutter, he said. Yes, I replied. Developmental or anxiety-based? I looked at him. Nobody had ever asked me that directly. Developmental since I was 6. You been in speech therapy? Until 8th grade. Why'd you stop? My dad said I was old enough to handle it myself. Hale looked at me for a moment. Come to my office Thursday at 4. We'll talk. I went Thursday. Sat across from his desk. He had a bookshelf behind him, Army manuals, communication textbooks, a worn copy of something called Stuttering, A Life Bound Up in Words. I'm not a speech therapist, he said immediately. I'm not going to fix you. You understand that? Yes, I said. But I've worked with 3 stutterers in 22 years of Army service. Good men, smart men, men who learned to communicate effectively without pretending they didn't stutter. He leaned forward. There's a difference between managing a stutter and hiding one. Your father taught you to hide it. I'm going to teach you something else. I didn't correct him about my father. I just said, okay. We met every Thursday at 4 for 8 months. He didn't use clinical techniques. He used what he called mission-based communication. Figure out what you need to say. Say the most important part first. Let the rest follow. He taught me voluntary stuttering, deliberately stuttering on purpose to remove the fear of it happening accidentally. He made me call the school cafeteria from his office phone and order lunch. Made me ask teachers questions in class at least once per session. The stutter isn't the problem, he told me in our 3rd session. The avoidance is the problem. Every time you substitute an easier word, you're teaching your brain the real word is dangerous. Stop substituting. That's easy for you to say, I replied. Yes, he agreed. It is. Do it anyway. November, December, January. I stopped ordering food based on what I could say. Started saying what I actually meant, blocks and all. Stopped letting my dad's voice in my head, the voice that said speak less, stay quiet, don't embarrass us. My A average held. I joined the school's debate elective, not competing, just sitting in, listening, eventually speaking during practice rounds. In February, Hale told me about the Northern California Regional Speech Competition, open to high school juniors and seniors, 4-minute prepared speech on a topic of personal significance. I want you to enter, he said. I stared at him. You want me to compete in a speech competition? Yes, against people who don't stutter, against people who have different challenges than you. Yes, I'll lose. Probably, he agreed. Enter anyway. I spent 6 weeks writing and practicing a 4-minute speech about living with a stutter. Not inspirational, not a sob story, just honest. What it felt like to have a word trapped in your mouth. What it cost to keep substituting easier words. What it meant to finally stop. The competition was April 19th, 2024. Community Center in Salinas. 41 competitors. Hale drove me there himself. Sat in the 3rd row. I was the 14th speaker. Walked to the podium. Looked at 41 other students and their families and the 3 judges at the table. I stuttered 17 times in 4 minutes. I counted afterward. 17 blocks, 17 moments where the word got stuck, and I waited for it and said it anyway. I won second place. The judge's written feedback said, exceptional authenticity, rare courage, content and delivery both outstanding. Hale shook my hand in the parking lot. That was it. No speech, just a handshake. I called my mom that night. She cried. I didn't. I was too tired and too full of something I didn't have a word for yet. I didn't call my dad. He called me. April 22nd, 3 days after the competition. Somehow he'd heard. A relative had seen something online, a post the school made. I heard you won a speech competition, Dad said. Second place, I corrected. Ryan, that's incredible. I didn't know you were doing that. You didn't ask, I said. No block, clean sentence, silence on the line. Stacy and I broke up, he said after a moment. 2 weeks ago. The house it's a lot quieter. Another pause. I was thinking you could come home for summer. Your room is still your room. I sat with that for a long time. You sent me away because I made Stacy uncomfortable, I said. Ryan, it wasn't like... Dad, I stopped him. I'm not angry, but I need you to say what actually happened. Longest silence yet. I made a bad call, he said finally. I chose wrong. It wasn't a full apology, but it was the first honest thing he'd said to me in years. I'll come home for part of summer, I told him. But I'm coming back here for senior year. Hale is here. My program is here. I'm not leaving. Okay, Dad said quietly. Another long pause. Okay, he said again. I went home for 6 weeks that summer. It was uncomfortable, honest, different. Dad didn't answer for me at his work friend's 4th of July party when I blocked on the word graduate. He waited. Everyone waited. The word came. It wasn't fixed. Nothing was fixed. But something had shifted. I'm back at Westbrook now, senior year, debate elective, competing this time. Applied to UC Davis for communications. Hale wrote my recommendation letter. 3 paragraphs. I haven't read it, but he told me what it said. Ryan Calloway is the most disciplined communicator I have worked with in 40 years. Not because he speaks without difficulty, because he speaks anyway. I keep that sentence in my phone. Here's what I know now. There are people in your life who will manage your limitations for you. Answer before you can try, steer around the hard moments, protect you from discomfort that is actually theirs, not yours. My father called it help. It wasn't help. It was his embarrassment wearing a parental costume. And there are people who will sit across a desk from you every Thursday for 8 months and make you call the cafeteria from their office phone. Who will drive you to a competition you're going to lose and sit in the 3rd row anyway? Who will shake your hand in a parking lot because they know that's exactly enough? Dennis Hale never told me my stutter wasn't a big deal. He never said, you can do anything you set your mind to. He said, the avoidance is the problem. Stop substituting. Say the real word. That's the truest thing anyone has ever told me. My dad is trying. Slowly. Imperfectly. I give him room to try because I'm not 11 anymore, and I understand now that people are sometimes cowards about the things that confuse them. He was a coward about my stutter. He's trying not to be. But Dennis Hale sat in that 3rd row. And that's the thing I'll remember when everything else fades. Some people love you by making your hard things invisible. Others love you by making you face them until they're not so hard anymore. My father spent 11 years making my stutter invisible. A retired Army sergeant I'd known for 8 months made me stand at a podium and stutter 17 times in front of strangers. One of those things changed my life. It wasn't the invisibility. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and tell me which country you're watching from. I love hearing from all of you. Subscribe so you never miss these stories about the people who show up when the people who should have didn't, and about learning that the thing you were taught to hide might be the most powerful thing you have. New story every single day. See you in the next one. Take care.